Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video about the specific person topic. And I think that, like a lot of things in the manifestation community, the SP thing is actually made up of a bunch of different smaller SP type of endeavors. So there are people that just want a relationship that will match with their current self-concept, that will be happy, and they just want a person in their life now. They want to attract that person. They don't know who it is. That there's nothing wrong with that, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. I've done it. It works. It works incredibly fast if you're ready to have it show up right now, and you're not looking for something that doesn't match with who you currently are. If you just want a relationship to show up that will integrate itself into your current concept of the world and concept of yourself, that's very simple, very easy. There are so many people out there. It's not difficult at all for one to just show up and sort of start filling a role that you want them to play. That's very easy, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I also don't think, I think when you've met somebody and you're interested in someone, I think this is kind of the way things have worked since the dawn of time. People meet and one party is like, I gotta have that person. And then so that just sort of overtakes them, and they start visualizing the end, and they start feeling like they belong with that person. They pursue that person. Hopefully that person responds favorably and they end up together. That's kind of the way things work, just by themselves. And Neville Goddard himself talks about how he essentially manifested his second wife, who he just saw her. He was like, I gotta have her. And since he was already aware of all this stuff, he didn't just view it as this is like boy meets girl and men chasing women. He could sort of observe what happened and deliberately add in these elements of manifestation. And so he ended up with his second wife. He did not take his first wife and turn her into something else and revisit this relationship that had been created from a completely different place in his evolution of self and in his timeline. He didn't cling on to that because she was the mother of his son and try to turn her into something else. That was never something that he did. As far as I know, and at this point, I have read and reread Neville just like a million times. What Neville says about the specific person category, what is in his writings about that are his stories about his second wife. He has a story about a woman who went on basically a first date with a guy, really liked him. The friend that had set them up moved away. She didn't have his contact info and lost contact. So for a month, she went to sleep feeling as though she were Mrs. So-and-so, and a random meeting, brought them together and they ended up married. So there's one, which is like a new person. It's kind of falls into the same category as Neville manifesting his wife. But he also says that, he basically addresses the specific person category also, saying that you don't want that person, you want a person. Basically, you don't want this specific person, you want love. He recounts women being embarrassed when he would be at their wedding, marrying a different guy after they had gone on and on and on to Neville about how much it was just this one person, everything was resting on this one person. He would say to them, so if that man dies, then are you going to essentially be single for the rest of your life? And their answer is always, well, no. That's kind of where Neville draws the line. In terms of practical reality, Neville says anything is possible, while at the same time then going on to use very mundane examples of what's possible. Usually immediately following that statement, he'll say something like, so were you unemployed? Is it a recession? Don't worry, that's not a problem. He's not like, so you want to jump off a cliff and start flapping your arms and fly away? No problem. It's always like something reasonable and normal immediately follows him saying anything is possible. And he always conditions that by saying you are a human and you're subject to human limitations. That's all through his writings. But anyway, so back to the SP topic. What I think the painful part of the SP category, and the one that I am almost always referencing when I say something derogatory about manifesting a specific person, is the people that are trying to revive the dead. People that had a relationship that didn't work out, they were left, or they screwed it up, or something, and they're desperately trying to get this relationship back. it's like trying to revive the dead. It's just trying to relive the past. There seems to be this imperative in life for forward motion, and things are always changing. That's the one thing that we can count on. And so when you try to revive the past, it's almost like you're just manifesting a personal hell. It's like you're just, hanging on to something that has already changed permanently. And while this is not always the case, and I'm never going to say, I don't believe that that's always the case. Some people do get back together with, people who don't know anything about manifesting get back together with exes all the time. But when it comes to like deliberately just running on this hamster wheel over and over and over again, trying to get this person back using your mind, I don't think this makes much sense in terms of how this entire thing works sort of mathematically. Your self-concept produces your outer reality. It produces your experience of it. It produces the actual elements of it much of the time. And if you created a relationship with somebody from a different standpoint, so you created this relationship at some point with somebody and it didn't work. So your worldview, self-concept, experience of the world, all of that intermixes with this other person's reality and all of that, what they're manifesting themselves, being conscious of, all of that. You guys came together and it didn't work. Now, if you haven't at all changed, then it makes no sense whatsoever to think that you would get back into that relationship and it would then work. Obviously, that equation did not work. It ended up in the relationship being over. So in order for it to work, you would have to change and be different in some way. I don't know what way. In some mysterious way that would make that relationship work, you would have to change. But here's the problem. If you're different, then you would create a different relationship from the different self-concept that you have. So if you change, and you've changed to the point, if you've corrected the issues that created that original relationship in the first place, you would create something different now. And it wouldn't probably be with that person. It would probably be with a new person, because that person is still that person. The one that matched with you, unless they have changed in exactly the right way to now match with you, the relationship would still not work. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. People say this is about love. They say this is about, some really natural, pure thing, but it almost never is. It's almost coming from a place of lack, almost always coming from a place of lack. It's almost always coming from a place of something's wrong with me and this relationship will fix it. Something's wrong with the world and this relationship will fix it. And it's just almost never coming from a place where anything good could happen in the first place. So from the equation balancing viewpoint of, I come together with this person and we, create this energetic whole and it either works or it doesn't. If it didn't work in the past and it was created from a different mental standpoint, how are you going to create that relationship in a different way from a new mental standpoint? Like 99% of the time, I just don't see how that makes any sense. I don't see how that works for people. People that have these long-standing relationships that keep getting back together, and maybe there are just a few little kinks that have to get worked out in that relationship in order for it to be really good. That's its own thing. But I think the biggest contingent of the SP crowd are those that are just clinging on to something that is literally, it's never to be again. It simply can't be, because you will never ever be that person again that created that relationship. You can't go back and relive it. You can't rewind. The best you can do is, let it go, revise it. If you're into the Neville Goddard stuff, revise it so that you feel better about what happened in the past and you relive it in a different way in your mind. But just trying to revive this thing that is dead for a reason, that died because of two self-concepts that did not match, that did not produce something good. It just makes no sense, because in order to get to the point where you'd be able to have a relationship that didn't suck, you're going to have to fix all the things about yourself that are creating relationships that do suck. And when you do that, you just, the urge isn't to go back into the past and go back to that thing that you created from a different, less productive, less positive self-concept, if that makes sense. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that topic today, especially after having continued to reread Neville throughout my COVID. Matt now has COVID, so I'm just basically staying home until he's done having COVID now too. So I've been home for like 2 weeks right now. I'm in my car now, but I've been not going to work, not going to anywhere basically for like 2 weeks. So I've been spending a lot of time reading and playing poker. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody with something that they're confused about. Have a great day.